You're on. Okay.
You're on. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue. We're continuing in a study of the book Mareh Yaakov. We have a couple of new people with us tonight, so part of what we're going to is review, but we're going to go on from where we are. The purpose of this perush is to give a drush, not a pshat meaning, not a simplified meaning, but rather a rather intense and derived meaning that comes from the fact that each word or group of words has a reading note that goes along with it. Each reading note has an implication as far as what it tells us about that word or group of words, both by its placement, by its shape, by its sound, and by whether it connects to the text that's next to it, or whether it separates that word from the text that's next to it. And we're going to see that each word is in fact going to stand as a paragraph alone, separated out from the other words that have another note, unless the note so tells us that it has to connect to what's going on. So did we understand sort of what I said in terms of introduction? Mm-hmm. So we start each class actually with something from the Parsha of the week that we read before, and this week we read Tetzaveh. So this is a real test of this type of perush, because it's okay, you're allowed to talk. This is interactive. If you've got a comment, if you don't understand, please, because if you're not understanding, probably somebody who's listening to the tape is also not understanding. So I'd rather, if you have a question or a comment, that it goes on tape and that everybody understands. So Tetzaveh is a real test of whether the perush stands up, because Tetzaveh is talking about the garments of the Kohen. Right. So you figure that there's not going to be a lot of leeway here to, when we talk about Parshat Noach and the stories and so on, then you can understand that there's got to be a lot that's going on that we're going to be able to derive or read in. But when we get to Tetzaveh, which is something that's very technical, we would think that this perush might fall down. So I chose a short sentence just so that we can get the idea of it without digressing too far.
But we'll never know because he doesn't have a perush.
So the written perush only went as far as the end of Sefer Breshit, and there are a couple of notes on the first Parshat Shmot, but they're not published. So we're going to Shmot Perek Kafchet. It's okay. I'm just going to say it out loud. Pasuk Lamed Aleph, sentence 31. It says, "Ve'asita et me'il ha'ephod kilil techelet." You should make the coat that goes over the ephod totally of techelet, of turquoise wool, sky blue wool. So this is a rather seemingly mundane sentence.
Seemingly coat. Oh, that was good.
Okay.
Did you do that purpose?
Yes. Very good, Owen. You caught it. So we have to realize, as we were going through Parshat Noach, what we realized is that a lot of the sentences that are derived there are God giving Noach reassurance that he'll be able to survive the flood, he'll be able to repopulate the world after the flood, that he'll be able to manage all of the animals and all of the responsibilities that he has. Similarly here, in Tetzaveh, we just came after Parshat Mishpatim. We came after the sentence, the parak where we learned all of the laws that he has to give to the people. And the question is, if they do something wrong, how are they going to gain forgiveness? The Mishnah in Zevachim specifically tells us that each of the Kohen's garments, and each of the Kohen Gadol's garments, and each of the garments of the other Kohen wore, had a specific aspect of forgiveness to them. So the ephod, the long coat that the Kohen Gadol wore, was specifically to forgive for sins of Avodah Zarah, and the me'il, the coat that went over it, that was the most demonstrative thing that he actually wore, was to forgive for sins of Lashon Hara. So when we see that you're going, Moshe is telling that you're going to make this thing. So he's saying they've got this sin that they might do, and we're going to give you a way for them to get forgiveness for it. So we've got a word that's going to tell us that they're going to be sheltered from a particular type of sin. What we've learned is that the note tavir, which looks like, and we're going to draw it out for you,
Like an eyeball.
a tavir is a note that goes under the word. It's got something that sweeps forward and a little dot in the center. So this is something being sheltered from something. And whenever we see the note tavir coming with a word, we're going to see that there's a concept of sheltering applied to that word. So when Moshe is told that he's going to make something that's going to allow them forgiveness for Lashon Hara, Yasita. When he's going to make it, he's going to make it in the sense that Moshe can now be reassured that that type of a sin has a way to be forgiven. Now,
So that tavir is under Vasita?
that tavir is under Vasita. Now, you're going to Vasita, et me'il, you're going to make the coat. The me'il is a separate garment, but it's going to be connected to the ephod. So it's going to be something that's going to be connected to the idea before, but sweep us into what's going to go afterwards. So this is going to have a mercha. This is going to be a note that flows from what comes before, but mostly leads us into what's going to go afterwards. So et me'il, the coat,
So it's a tavir without the dot.
is a mercha. So this is without the dot. Without the dot, there's no sense of sheltering. There's a sense of connecting lightly to what's come before, but mostly to what's going to come afterwards. So the coat of the ephod, ha-ephod. This is a tipcha. This is a note that tells us that we're connecting to what's coming back behind us, and we're pausing slightly after this. So the me'il of the ephod is going to connect those two words and tell us that those two ideas, those two concepts are connected together, and it's going to be a separate type of forgiveness that you're going to get from the ephod and from the coat that goes over it. We realize that there are certain notes that you intone that stop the flow of the sentence here. And tipcha has a minor pause after it. So the thought that comes after this could be something that's separate from this, unless the note tells us that you're going to go back. But if you're going to go back, then you can go back farther than just the one word. So it's going to be made all of Khalil, again with a mercha, which lightly ties us back, but not just to ephod, it ties us back to the whole idea. V'asita me'il ephod, but it's mostly sweeping us forward. It's going to be made entirely of, and this entirety is going to be something that includes all of the concepts that we've had before. And finally, at the end of the sentence, we're going to get to techelet. It's going to be made of this deep sky blue fabric, which comes at a sof pasuk, which comes at the end of a sentence. The end of a sentence is always a stabilizing influence, is always going to tell us that this is a word that's going to tell us that there is some stability or some goodness in this. So how are we going to get this forgiveness from Lashon Hara? The Gemara in Zvachim gives us a sentence to relate it to, but if you go to the Zohar specifically tells us that techelet is a deep blue color. When you look at this deep blue, your thoughts sort of start to wander. So this is a very, very shockingly vivid color. You're going to look at it, and it's going to make you think of the sea, which is a reflection of the sky. which is a reflection of the color of Kisei HaKavod, of God's holy throne, and therefore you are going to be able to purify your thoughts when you look at this color, because you're going to be able to say, oh, I'm standing in front of Kisei HaKavod, I can do the right thing because I know where I am. So Techelet, the color in and of itself, is going to give us the stability to say that we can achieve that forgiveness that we're looking through just by looking at this garment. So that's the power of the Perush here. And again, this is our putting our spin to what we know from the way that these notes have been used in Parshat Breshit onto the way we think they might have been applied. Obviously, I don't want to presume, and certainly the good doctor might have had better or deeper thoughts, but I think it suffices to say that the Perush stands up even with rather mundane and technical sentences like this.
Sure.
So we're going to continue on. It's okay. I don't think we need to pause.
Take
Okay,
a
you can pause for a second.
Pause a second.